In a world full of water blasters, nothing like this has ever existed. Until now. This is the Spyra Gravity, the world's first dedicated water bomb launcher. And yes, it's as ridiculous and satisfying as it sounds. Thanks to Spyra, water blasters have become more popular than I ever thought they would be. I mean, we all thought in the 90s that super soakers were cool, and then pulsating blast motorized water blasters started to become popular in the mid 2010s, but then Spyra flipped it all on its head when it created the Spyra water blaster in the late 2010s. I did a video on most of their products and last November. I was so surprised that the video did as well as it did, but it was a manifestation. The water blaster sport is probably at the peak of its popularity. It's definitely in its prime, and it's not going anywhere, especially in places like here in South Florida where you walk outside and it feels like 110 with humidity. But Spyra didn't stop at just water blasters. They had to take it yet another step forward. In this box is a new product that Spyra and their fantastic engineers came up with over last summer. It's called the Spyra Gravity, and it claims to be the world's first water bomb launcher. It uses a combination of kinetic and electronic power to operate. We're gonna see how all that works out. Let's get into some unboxing. All right, guys, sure enough, in the box, according to the packing slip, is the outer carton and SKU number SPGR1, R for red. We have the Team Red Spyra Gravity Water Bomb Launcher. Let's see what's inside. All right, you got two pieces of tape between you and your new blaster. Conventional type of box opening, just cracks open like a clamshell, just like that. And you have direct access to your Spyra Gravity. Little net type bag with what appears to be 4 water bombs. The number here is giving me the impression that that's also the capacity of this blaster. You have your instruction manual, which we might need to look at if we run into any snags on how this thing operates. Small little tool and what appears to be a USB charging cable. Now there are some quick instructions outside of the box, which are the ones you'll probably look at first. Everything from how to trap the water within the balls. It's a magnetic seal, so it's probably very straightforward action. How to open the loading bay of the blaster. Basically, after you load each round, you close the lid and that chambers the round forward, exposes the carriage for the next round. Successfully load all the rounds. We're going to do that in real time. There's a display that tells you when your blaster is armed. It also displays the amount of rounds you have. It displays the round that's in the chamber per se, ready to fire. Pretty cool stuff. I'll be honest with you guys, with Nerf, we've been around blasters that fire all kinds of projectiles, little rockets, little balls. We have the Rivals, we have 40 Max. We even have little grenade type devices, which when they pop open, they release other little Nerf mini projectiles within them. In fact, I don't think I have 50 cal foam balls to test, but I am going to try maybe gel ball if we get creative and see how many rival balls we can fit in these and to see if it's even an effective method for the sake of it, since this is a foam flinging channel first and foremost. There's a little service bay here. I'm pretty sure this is where you either insert the battery or you can clear a jam, because it is, oh, we were able to find out right now. Yep, you can certainly clear jams if necessary. It's just access to the underbelly of the loading mechanism for the water bombs. It's kind of cool to see that they give you that option rather than have to take the whole blaster apart. USB charging port is secured by a little hatch and a little Phillips screw right here. Probably has a little rubber seal here like their Spyra 3 does. And then right here we do have a sling mount, which is nice to see. There is another sling mount back here. I do appreciate that because you're going to be running around with this thing probably as a secondary, or if you're the juggernaut guy or the heavy weapons guy, you're going to be carrying this thing and taking out some monsters or some zombies with it. It's nice to see that they were thoughtful enough to give us 2 sling mounts for what is not entirely a light device. I don't want to throw a weight estimate on it because the weight is very well spread out throughout the blaster. It shows to be of good balance. Nice bright orange muzzle here in the front. In this sport, even in the water sport, we like to have bright, colorful looking devices and blasters. What do you guys say? We're going to put this thing to charge. Right now it's nighttime. We're going to go ahead and let it charge overnight. Probably won't take all night, but I'll make sure that I leave it plugged in before I go to bed. In the morning, we're gonna grab this thing, have some fun with it. With movie magic, you won't feel a single minute go by. See you on the other side. All right, guys, so here we are. She is fully charged. Now to turn her on, it's a very simple process. You just have to release the tension on this foregrip here, or press the trigger, or move any movable object on the blaster, and it will turn on, and it'll show the complete battery charge, as you can see right there. So this particular diagram shows your loading pattern. These little 4 circles, which will light up once we load the water orbs in here, will start lighting up one by one. This upper right hand icon, lower right hand icon, and lower left hand icon depict that those are just loading bays. This front one here is the one that's going to light up when you have an actual water bomb in the chamber ready to fire. So it's pretty straightforward. The tricky part is getting the mechanics down on what you have to do before the next step. So normally this is locked all the way forward like this. Anytime you need to release this handle in order to prime the blaster, you simply just click on this mini trigger here. It'll release the handle, and that'll allow you to prime the next round. Now, as far as loading them, the actual loading bay door is the one that controls the loading itself and the movement of the ammo carriage inside the blaster. In order to be able to open the loading hatch, you do have to re-secure this handle in its forwardmost position like that, and then you can open the loading bay to start loading orbs. So I got a fully loaded with water orb. I'm going to put it right there in its little loading nest, as you can see right there. I'm going to close the carriage, I'm going to release the handle, and then I'm going to pull the handle back, and that's going to load this orb into the firing position, as you can see right here. Filling the orbs with water is a very easy process. You literally just dunk the entire orb in a bucket of water, pop it open, it's automatically going to fill with water, and then what I like to do is just let it close naturally. Now this ensures that you're not forcing it closed before it's fully filled with water, and it's more of a natural filling process. It'll close slowly, allowing it to pretty much maximize its water capacity. Another detail that I felt that was very helpful is make sure that the orbs are fully filled with water. Lack of doing so will cause small little recesses or dimples in the orb, and that'll create some jam issues on the blaster. I've noticed that a couple times that I shot it. Now with the handle locked all the way forward, we're able to cycle the loading bay. We're going to put the first orb in there, make sure it's nicely secured on the carriage. Any kind of deviation, any kind of movement, if the clamshell is distorted just a little bit, it'll block the whole carriage from loading properly. We're going to close the loading bay, and then we're going to cycle it one more time, and that'll expose the next loading dock for the next orb. So we're going to put that one in. Same thing again, and now you're going to see that it's showing 2 orbs loaded, including one in the chamber. However, that one's not primed yet, so it doesn't show red. It just shows that it's in there right now. Got our third orb in there. As you can see, we are now loaded with 3. And for the final orb, here we go. Always got to cycle it. Now you could cycle between orbs. Let's say you're playing a multi-ammo type kind of battle and you got blue orbs in here as well as red. It's a good visual indicator to know which one is next. It'll give you an idea of where that one was at in the pattern of loading, where your blue one might be at or where your red one might be at. Besides that, we're ready to fire. Let's get to it. Now we're going to relax this handle here. The blaster's ready to prime the first round. Right now it shows them all in a white LED color. Now there's 2 indicators that the blaster is primed and ready. There's the red indicator here letting you know that the orb that's in the chamber is ready to fire, and there's a red one over here letting you know that the blaster's hot and ready to fire. We're going to arch these shots and shoot them at the target. I'm about 25 feet away. Let's see how she does. By the way, once you fired the one and you only have 3 left, it automatically de-illuminates one of the orbs on the top right. It's going to follow kind of like a clockwise pattern as it unloads the orbs until ultimately the one loaded only shows. And then after you fire that one off, you're empty, or like the guys in the military like to say, you're Winchester, out of ammo. Let's go ahead and fire the rest of the 3, guys. Got a jam. I just encountered my first jam on film, and this is an important one because I'm having to really jerk all the mechanisms back and forth just to get the thing to like loosen something up to eject the ball. But right now it's not even possible because it's stuck in between the grabbing mechanism that loads the ball and the carriage. It's somewhere in limbo right here. I could see the ball clearly right here to the barrel. It's just not accessible. I even opened up the extra loading bay door right here that should technically allow you to see the ball, but not even. So yeah, I wasn't able to fire my last last round, guys. I wish it would have turned out better. We always want things to work out perfect right out of the box, but for some reason this one didn't. You saw that I had the orbs perfectly filled, which is something I recommend, and it's still jammed. So let's take it back inside and see what we could do about that and give our lasting impressions. All right, so I did unjam the blaster. I didn't have to open it. What I recommend if this happens to you while you're operating the blaster is you get something like a vacuum extension tool. Might have to use 2 pieces to get the length you need. And then you're gonna use this to reseat the ball into the next available exposed empty carriage, assuming there's not already a ball in that one. If there is, things get a little bit more complicated. We'll get to that in a few. For those of you wondering how I finally did clear the jam and how I recommend you guys clear the jam in the future if you ever own a Spyra Gravity, is grab something preferably plastic for obvious reasons. You don't want to scratch up the inside of the blaster. I'm using this vacuum extension tubing. This is plenty of length, but you should need at least about, I would say 17 to 20 inches, but this is closer to 24, but it does the trick. And what you want to do is basically the ball's going to be floating somewhere inside this limbo area like I mentioned earlier. It's the area behind the loader mechanism, but in front of the ammo carriage. It's an area that's not accessible by hand, and what you want to do is you want to push the Spyra Gravity ball, which by now should be deflated, should be easy to grab and poke with this. What it's going to look like inside the blaster is basically you grabbing the ball, basically pushing the ball into the immediate carriage that's exposed towards the front of the blaster, meaning what would be the first SpyraBlast to be launched, that carriage bay is what you're going to push the ball into. But yeah, you want to push that ball into the carriage, and then basically you cycle the carriage until that ball is accessible for you to unload, refill with water, whatever you have to do. Now, if there's already a ball in front of that breech, it gets a little bit more tricky, because let's say there's another jam that's impeding the carriage from turning, then you have 2 problems to worry about. You probably have a stuck ball somewhere in this area where it's very hard to access. So then you're going to be dealing with 2 different challenges: rotating the carriage with a ball that's potentially stuck, impeding that rotation, and then the ball that's stuck in limbo here. Now, if you really want to get technical, you can purchase a tool if you don't already have it, such as this little grabber tool. It has these little claws that kind of come out and grab, and then you can carefully, because the barrel is plastic, without scratching anything, you can carefully insert it, try to grab the ball, and then yank it out the front. But then again, there's these prongs that kind of sit in this direction to prevent any balls from being breech loaded. Getting the ball past those prongs is probably going to be a big challenge, even with the ball collapsed with no water in it. It's just going to be a challenge. In resume, it just adds an extra layer of potential headaches if you don't know what you're getting into. The Gravity has a lot of built-in dependencies that affect gameplay. You must fully reset the loading sequence each time, no quick reloads. Once primed, you can't add more rounds, you're locked in, and I feel like this takes away a lot of the fluid, fast-paced fun that makes water fights exciting to begin with. And then there's reliability. During testing, my last orb jammed in a position the built-in jam door couldn't clear. The orb was stuck in a limbo zone between the carriage and the loading system. At the pool, this would have taken you completely out of the fight. I had to take the blaster inside and manually push the orb through the barrel to clear it. Not a great user experience. And here's where I have to be honest. You can throw these water bombs further and harder by hand than the Gravity launches them. That's not opinion, that's physics. And it showed up in every part of this test. One major thing that stood out, the Gravity's electronic system is only used for display visuals and lock/safety operation. The launching mechanism itself is fully mechanical. This makes me wish there was a blind or casual mode to bypass the electronics altogether in the event that your battery died. Since the launcher itself doesn't need any electronics to fire, this would have added a lot of usability and gameplay. Unfortunately, because of this jam experience, I didn't even feel compelled to experiment within the water bombs. I wanted to do some gel balls. I wanted to do the 50 cal Nerf ammo. I wanted to do the regular rival Nerf ammo. But upon even further looking at the design of these balls, they're optimized just to hold water. The design of the balls is actually fantastic. The ammo needs absolutely no update. I think it's fantastic. I think the way that it clamps shut, the magnets are pretty strong. There's very minimal leaking when it's clammed together full of water. But the way that these diaphragm lips are formed around this area here make it not suitable for this to carry anything but water. I mean, I suppose you could probably get away with gel balls. You'd have to fill each half and then kind of be careful when you clamp it together that none of them fall out. It's probably going to happen anyway, but needless to say, these are optimized for water and water only. At the end of the day, the Gravity feels more like a prototype than a polished product. It's a cool idea with lots of promise, but in this current form, it's too complicated, underpowered, and too easy to jam for casual or competitive water fights. Now, I love what Spyra is trying to do here. They innovate, and best of all, they support the community. If they simplify this system, add more power, and give players more flexibility, version 2.0 or even 3.0 of this blaster could be amazing. But right now, it's just not there yet. If you're buying one on sale or for perhaps role-based games or just casual pool fun, fine. But don't expect it to compete with Spyra's other amazing products such as their water blasters or even a good throwing arm in a water war. Now, to be fair, plinking targets with the Gravity is fun when it works. The accuracy is decent at short ranges, but the limitations of the system start showing up really quickly. If you still feel like you want to pick one up to check it out and support the channel, the link for the purchase of this blaster will be down in the description. Huge thanks to Spyra for sending this out for us to have a look at, and thanks to you all for watching and keeping this community grounded in real talk. Until next time, stay creative, stay safe, and stay splashy, my friends.